Hey everyone, and welcome back to my completionist playthrough of the Baldur's Gate Saga with SCS and Ascension. And first, before we get going, as is usually the case, we have a couple of minor things to take care of, like this level up on Kirinai. She's going to become a level 31 thief. Not a very impressive level up, but she's going to get her second time stop trap out of it. Next, I'd like to discuss a certain issue with spell sequencers, in which they can get broken and not fire off properly. And this might be something that you have experienced yourself, but perhaps not realized exactly why that happens. And this is going to be a good opportunity to talk about it, because this is exactly what the issue is with Imoen's minor sequencer. Basically, I think I'm going to want to set up a new minor sequencer on her soon. And of course, for that to happen, we need to get rid of our old one first, the one that consisted of 2 magic missile spells, but it's not going to fire off properly. And that's because whenever your mages have some sequencers set up and then die and get resurrected, these sequencers are not going to work properly anymore. Whether that's by design or because of a bug, which is way more likely, that's just what happens. And of course, in her case, that's because she died near the end of Shadows of Amn in Soldan Esselar during her battle against the Black Dragon Nizid-Ramanit. So, as you can see, she's had that one minor sequencer set up for quite a while. And anyway, to make things a little bit more dramatic, we might do it in a form of a little cutscene here, since we haven't given Jaheira a hard time for a while now. Let's say something like... Jaheira, I'm sick and tired of your attitudes, your constant complaining, and trying to undermine my leadership. I've had enough, and this ends now. You've never had the makings of a varsity athlete. Farewell!
What do you want?
Oh, just kidding. I was just kidding. Jaheira, just a prank, bro. So, as you can see, Jaheira is fine, and this just does not fire properly. Anyway, we are going to set up a new minor sequencer in the near future, but for now, Imoen might content herself with just setting up a spell sequencer for the upcoming battle, and we're going to place a minor mirror images spell, haste, and stone skin into it. And finally, before we leave the pocket plane and continue our adventures, we're going to want to reward ourselves a little bit more after our triumph against the Agashira, and get those Jan's inventions again in our possession. And for that, of course, we're going to need a spare party slot to recruit Jan.
Yes?
So basically, we're going to allow Jaheira to take a second and cool down after that whole prank we pulled on her.
What have you decided then? Am I to leave the group for a time? I am not sure this is wise.
Yeah, she's going to react completely differently than in Shadows of Amn to the prospect of leaving the group. She takes it pretty well and is going to wait here for a second. And now we can talk with the Fate Spirit and summon ourselves Jan.
Oh, is it that time already?
You don't seem very surprised, Jan. Well, it's like my Uncle Spanky used to say. There's just no point in wetting your pants and screaming if you suddenly find yourself on another plane, especially if you're dead. What kind of a start to the afterlife would that be? Better to just look like you know what you're doing and impress the hell out of everyone. Good to see you too, Jan. Time for a little adventure, is it? I figured as much. I saw some ogres down in Am capture a poor ball spawn. A kobold, that one. My, but that ball got around, didn't he? Anyway, they were stewing him in a big iron pot, and I thought to myself, Jan, my boy, that's adventure you're smelling. You can always count on Jan when it comes to listening to a good story. Apparently these ogres didn't know how to make a nice, delicious stew. But anyway, we are going to recruit him into our party for just a second. We're not going to level him up. We're just going to take his stuff, like this short sword +3 that we're going to be able to sell. We can leave him his ammo, but we're going to take his Janssen adventure wear. And I think we might even take his goggles just for the immunity to blindness. Well, in any case, we're going to have a much greater use for it, in the case we end up using it, than he is ever going to have. So, alright, that's it. Thank you, Jan. It was nice seeing you. Very nice of you to want to give us your inventions once again. Hearing about our adventures here in Tether, wanting to make our chances better.
Against all my better judgment, I'll give you a second chance to change your mind. How about it? 2 turnips and I stay? 3?
You can haggle with him about the turnips, but anyway, we're going to just leave him here and re-recruit Jaheira.
It will be done.
Ah, is it time for me to rejoin you? I hope so. I was beginning to get impatient standing about idle like this.
Alright, it seems like she's in a much better disposition now. We have to customize her script once again, and she's going to get her stuff back that she automatically drops into our bag when we dismiss her. Anyway, that's going to be it. And also, I think we might already rearrange Kirinai's equipment, because we're going to have a special assignment for her in the next encounter. So let's give her that Skull of Death. That Janssen Adventureware is going to wait in our bag of holding for just a little while longer, because in the next encounter we are actually going to go for a nice armor class setup for Kirinai. We're going to basically stack everything we can on her, like Cloak of the Sewers. That's going to give her an additional armor class point. Also the Ring of Gax we might give her. And oh yeah, and of course the amulet, that amulet of the Master Harper. So she is already at -18, and then at the beginning of the fight we're going to cast Defensive Harmony with Jaheira, and she's going to be at the max, -20 or -20, I probably should be saying. But anyway, that's it for now when it comes to our business in the pocket plane. Actually, I think these things I'm going to give to Saravok for just a moment, because we're going to have some looting to do. Well, not just yet, but we still have to loot these 2 barrels here, one with some fire-based spells, Burning Hands, Fireball, Flaming Arrow, and Ganazar's Scorcher. And this barrel over here has some primarily fire-based ammo, but we're going to leave the arrows of fire, and there's also bolts of biting. There are no fire bolts, I guess, so that's why we get these. And okay, character is too far away. Let's bring Imoen over, because there's also one more corpse that we haven't looted properly. The scrolls we're just going to sell soon. Alright, and finally, we can leave this place and move on with the story. But I think before we do, before we travel through the Calim Desert, through this oasis to Amkethran, which is our next destination, I think we're going to just make a short stop in the North Forest and just sell some stuff to Karthus, because I think we're not going to visit Karthus for a while after this. There's going to be a good enough merchant in Amkethran who still has, well, not as good prices as Karthus is going to give us, but still well above average. So I think since we have already sold a lot of stuff to Karthus, and some price depreciation is going to be a factor here with him, let's just make this selling session with him here, and we're probably going to sell some stuff to him maybe when we're coming back after completing Watcher's Keep. Perhaps we're going to sell some stuff to him, but for now this is going to be cool. Alright, there was something stolen. That Sentinel was stolen. So unfortunately we have to do all this, the clicking here again, and that should be it. And also I think we're going to sell a lot of that +2 ammo that we don't need anymore, because of course we have our unlimited generators of +2 ammo, and we even have some +1 ammo. Okay, some of it was stolen. That is going to be a problem. These 5, I think. Is this fine, dude? That wasn't even that profitable, but anyway, and this is going to free some more space in our ammo belts. Okay, this was stolen. Alright, cool.
Yes?
And now we can finally bust a move and progress to the Oasis. Alright, and here before anything happens, we are going to already cast some spells. We are going to unleash our fresh spell sequencer onto Imoen, which is going to give her some protections and haste all of us. Senashira just needs to get 1 protection from magical weapons. Jaheira is going to cast that defensive harmony, and Animan, I guess, can protect himself with some armor of faith. Saravok is not going to need anything, and Kirinai is not going to need anything. She's just going to prepare herself to fulfill a special assignment she's going to have in this situation. Alright, so here we meet Jamis Tombelthen, a general of the army of Tethyr, a representative of the king and queen of Tethyr. You, Senashira, are accused of crimes against our nation and indeed all of humanity. And basically, no matter what we say, this is going to end up in a fight, but this conversation option, when we ask for a trial, is going to give a little bit more dialogue. So let's go with that one. You are guilty, Senashira. Of this there is no doubt, and we will not risk your further endangerment of us all. You are a spawn of Bhaal, and responsible for the destruction of the city of Saradush. Your execution has been ordered, Senashira. May the gods have mercy on your soul. So it's either someone tried to blame the massacre on Saradush on us, or it's just the news not being too accurate. But anyway, when it comes to Mr. Tombelthen here, he is yet another member of the Tombelthen family that we have heard about, or read about a little bit, in Shadows of An. If you remember our adventure in the Umar Temple ruins, there was a note from Idris Tombelthen about his search for mithril, and basically stashing some mithril. And then if you then are a ranger and you get the ranger stronghold from Merella, there is a follow-up quest where Eigen Tombelthen comes to claim that stash of mithril, and you can either cooperate with him or fight him. So yeah, this one is a general of the army of Tethyr, and this battle here is going to involve quite a few different troops they have in this army, and this is yet another situation where we can, or they can get that point across that now we are able to just demolish whole armies effortlessly. And I guess when it comes to the, speaking from a point of view of realism, I guess this makes sense because they are all pretty low level and not that dangerous. You know, this is still going to be a pretty well trained and especially very well equipped army. But when it comes to, you know, mods like SCS or Ascension, they just really should do something with this encounter because it's very easy at what it is right now. Because most of the soldiers here, there's going to be archers and pikemen. They're only level 8 fighters. Then these captains are level 10 berserkers. Jamis is level 16 berserker. And then there's going to be battle mages who are just mages level 9, so and they only have up to level 5 spells, and of course a very ineffective remove magic that they're still going to try to cast at us, I think. And there are also going to be clerics of Lathander who are also level 10, but you know, nothing really impressive at all. And yeah, some mod should, well, and there is a mod, and there is a component of a mod called Quest Pack. I think I've referenced over the course of the playthrough a couple of times. One of its components is called Improved Oasis, which improves this battle somewhat, but what it's like the most important thing about that component is that it allows you to resolve this issue peacefully. You can actually talk with Jamis Tombelthen and convince him that it's not us who are responsible for the massacre and destruction of Saradush and whatnot, although from what I remember it wasn't that well written. But anyway, here all we can do is just kill them all. And basically what we're going to do is send our -20 armor class Kirinai super deep into the enemy ranks, unleash her into the fray here. And basically why we went for that kind of armor class setup is to allow her to survive the environment we're going to put her in. Because this army, even though they are only level 8, they still have around -5 Thaco, so a pretty decent one. They are well equipped with magical weapons and arrows and whatnot. And basically we just want to kind of take advantage of their level 8 and showcase how we can just kill a lot of them all at once. Yeah, here's a Cleric of Lathander, the mages. I think there's one battle mage at this eastern side. They start invisible, I think, with some pre-buffs. But anyway, let's place Kirinai here. And over on this side, let's first kill Jamis Tombelthen. And then we're going to progress forward. Alright, they are bunching up. And we can use our Skull of Death to unleash Death Spell on them. And I think we're going to actually unleash it on this guy, so perhaps these archers can also be affected. They're, of course, as archers with SCS AI, they are going to try to move away from Kirinai and not be in melee range. Alright, Jamis Tombelthen just died, and I guess we can kill these two captains now. There's one of these battle mages. We can perhaps inspect his pre-buffs. Yeah, he's just a level 9 mage, so he's not going to have much. We don't really need to be concerned about this one. And boom! We have killed quite a few of them in just one spell cast. So we can have Kirinai go back. We can heal Saravok. Yeah, they can still, as everyone in Throne of Bhaal, basically, they can still unleash some damage. And yeah, now we can unleash our own party members and just finish the slaughter. Actually, what I think we should do is just get rid of the mage. Just cut through his stuff. Oh yeah, I should probably switch to your proper weapon there. Yeah, unfortunately, pretty unspectacular encounter here. I wish it was way tougher, because this encounter, you know, happens in a... Battle Mage is still invisible. Didn't reveal himself. Alright, there he is. Because in this situation where we enter a new area and are greeted with a fight immediately, this would incentivize you to do something different than usual, and, you know, not having the ability to pre-buff extensively before this fight, this would incentivize you to, you know, set up some cool contingencies and some cool sequencers, kind of like, you know, what we have done with Imoen to some extent, just to haste ourselves and give Imoen some protections. But, you know, we would be able to do that on some of our other characters as well, and, you know, we would be able to, or we would be even forced, maybe if this encounter was way tougher, to pre-buff to a much greater extent. But anyway, unfortunately this is what it is. Here we're going to loot General Jamis Tombelthen individually. And then we're just going to quick loot the rest. First, he has a letter from the Queen of Tethyr. My faithful General Jamis, I implore you to move with great urgency to intercept the Bullspawn Senashira before she can do any more damage. Whether or not she is responsible for what occurred in Saradush, we cannot allow her to continue and cannot afford the time for a trial, if we could even capture her. So it seems like our guilt is not really something that they are so sure of. So Jamis, you were not entirely truthful with us here, or displayed an attitude that I guess you were rightfully punished for. Anyway, our other forces are busy containing the riots in Myratma and keeping opportunists from our borders. You are our only hope in stopping Senashira. Use any measures necessary, and be safe, my old friend. May the gods help us all. Queen Monarch Zaranda Rindahan. And she is actually a character from the lore, from the Forgotten Realms universe. Actually has a book about her. War in Tethyr, it's called. And basically here, Myratma is a city, one of the most prominent cities in Tethyr that she mentions. And basically shortly before the events of Baldur's Gate 2, there's basically a rebellion, I guess, in Myratma, where a certain prince called Yusuf Janivar gets into power there and refuses to submit to Queen Zaranda's rulership. So basically they have some battles, and actually Zaranda gets captured and tortured and whatnot, but then gets rescued later on. And I think here in 1369 we are basically freshly after that type of thing, but I guess there are still some riots in Myratma. I'm not sure how the developers you know, intended this to be placed like exactly where in the timeline, but anyway, so as you can see, they are not like inherently evil characters. They are trying to do what's best for their kingdom, and actually Zaranda is a pretty cool, good aligned character. But you know, that's just how tragically these events have turned out. So that's pretty sad, but there's nothing more that we can do about it in our mod setup. I guess if you want to try out that component from Quest Pack, you might actually, you know, have a peaceful resolution here. Anyway, from Jamis Tombelthen we get this weapon, the Answerer, which is a longsword +4, which is very unique, and it can be extremely powerful in certain situations, and I feel like it's one of the most underrated items in the whole game. With each hit, it lowers magic resistance by 15% and also reduces the target's armor class by 2. This all stacks, and the only downside of it is that these effects only last for 4 rounds. But if you have a capable attacker staying on such target, you know, you can stack these debuffs quite high, and you can just make them stay for quite a while. So this can be really, really useful in certain situations, and we're definitely going to try and make use of it on Kirinai, I think. You know, we can actually sort our gear back to how it was. And I think this should be it. And yeah, I think we might even go up to Grand Mastery in longswords. I don't think I'm going to pump up quarter staves for a rare backstab here and there. Although that would be a viable option, because basically she has 2 more proficiency points left. And we could go 1 into quarterstaves and then 1 into two-handed weapon style, so that she could crit more with such backstabs. But I think it's going to be better to go to Grand Mastery with long swords, so that she can use the Answer and Angur Vadal. And I think after a while of using Spectral Brand, once she gets Grand Mastery in long swords, we're going to switch her to Angur Vadal as her ultimate weapon, and we're probably going to give Spectral Brand to Jaheira. But anyway, I think what we're going to do is drop this note, and we're going to place our bag of holding like that, so that we can loot everything quickly.
I can hold no more. That item has been dropped.
And yeah, this army is very well equipped with some +3 weapons, some +2 armors. These arrows are +1 enchanted only, but you know, generally there is a lot of wealth to be gained here by looting everything. And we even got some true sight. And there's also this bounty notice that we're going to be able to find on some corpses and some containers here. We haven't had a bounty on our head, I guess, for a while. Last time was, I guess, Irenicus placed a bounty when we were closing in on Sultan Esselar, but for the majority of Baldur's Gate 2, I guess this wasn't the case. Of course, in Baldur's Gate 1 there were plenty of those, but here, now, this short document appears to be an official bounty from the Crown of Tethyr offering gold, 100,000 gold pieces in fact, for proof of Senashira's death. All ballspawn are indicated to be dangerous, but Senashira is singled out as being doubly so, and responsible for the destruction of Saradush and the loss of so many lives there as well as elsewhere. Yeah, so this is how things are progressing. Everyone seems to be against us, as usual. Oh yeah, and these pikemen have spears +2. And there are some swords +1 that these archers have, I think. And we can loot this. And now we have a little bit more of that. But I'm going to try to be pretty quick with this.
I can hold no more. That item has been dropped.
I didn't want to pick up these arrows, but
That item has been dropped.
I think this should be
I can hold no more. That item
near the end of our looting spree here. And this is basically going to set us
Hold no more. That item
nicely for the rest of Throne of Bhaal when it comes to our finances. Alright, this is going to be it. All of these are looted.
I can hold
Just
no
this
more. That
this
item has
cleric
been
and the mage, who died the furthest to the east. Alright, they basically had nothing. Okay, and there's a few containers here which contain some minor loot. This one contains some cash and another bounty notice that we don't need. Yeah, here we even got one potion of mind focusing. And yeah, some minor jewelry. Alright, and we are done. And now we can move to the next chapter, actually. We are going to unlock the next phase, I guess, of the main story by traveling to Amkethran.
Dust blows around you, clearing a moment later to reveal what can only be Amkethran, a village nestled into an outcropping of rock, amidst a desert so dry and sparse of life that you wonder how such a place could survive. Dominating the village, and seemingly carved out of the stone face of the rocks themselves, is a large and ornate fortress, its purpose unknown.
Alright, so Chapter 9, Amkethran. This is going to be our main base of operations for a while. And just if we want to take a little look around before we speak to Balthazar, and you know, kind of check out the main monastery here, like Melissan, I guess, instructed us to do, or to meet her here. We can see that there's a lot of mercenary forces here, training, being hard at work in the city, and there's going to be a lot of different people with a lot of their different lines that they speak, sometimes indicating that these mercenaries are something that is a very new situation to the town, that these mercenaries have been hired fairly recently and have taken much of the resources of the town, and now the commoners are actually struggling to make ends meet. But let's go here to the main entrance to the monastery. And a monk greets us. You there. You must be the one that Balthazar is expecting. This is Melissan. Any questions you have, you can direct to Balthazar himself. Alright. So let's see what he has to say.
So, you must be the ball spawn Melissan told me of. I've been expecting you.
Where is Melissan? I need to speak with her.
I am Balthazar, head of the monastic order here in Amkethran, and its ruler as well, although that is not an official position. Melissan preceded you and told me of your coming. Melissan has already left the village, and did not say where she was going. She has left with me directions for you to reach these enclaves she mentioned. Is this what you expected?
No, she said she would meet me here. I do not know where Melissan may have gone, nor do I care. As for you, Melissan has vouched for you. I'll tolerate your presence for now and give you what you need. Here are the maps to the enclaves Melissan mentioned. Neither of them are very far from here, as you can see. Add them to your own map if you wish. Do with them as you wish, Senashira. Amkethran is available for your supplies and rest. Do not disturb my own activities, and will not come to grief. Is that understood? So I'm going to ask about these activities. That's none of your business. You will not be allowed into my fortress. Anywhere else is open to you. Good day and good luck to you, Senashira. So pretty cold, harsh greeting from Balthazar here. Melissan is nowhere to be found, and it seems like we are kind of on our own to explore this this city. And there's actually quite a few of minor quests and events to engage in, and I think we're going to dedicate the next episode to all that. Also, since we are all fatigued, just so our party members do not complain, we can use this new spell that we have acquired, this mass healing, to remove fatigue, but I actually think that it does not remove fatigue completely. I think how it's coded is that it just drops fatigue below the fatigued value of 7, which you know, makes your party members tired, and I think it just goes down to 6. So I think after we use this, we are soon going to get fatigued anyway, again. So it's not going to be that useful, like I've said in the previous episode. Since this is a custom spell, I don't think they just introduced it properly. And there are some spells and abilities in Infinity Engine games that properly remove fatigue, but I don't think this one works like that. But anyway, so now we are in Chapter 9, we're in Amkethran, we're going to get our bearings, see what's up in the village in the next episode, and soon we're actually going to, now that this story is going to, the main story is going to slow down a little bit, we're actually going to set our sights onto Watcher's Keep, and we're going to visit that soon. But all of that is going to come in the next episode and subsequent ones, so for now I thank you for watching, I hope you enjoyed this one, and I'll see you next time.